So, before we go to this video, I just want to say, go read this manga. It is really good and very short. There are only 31 chapters and it portrays a really amazing redemption and love story of teenager dealing with hardship in their school year. And in this video, we'll be looking into three different crucial phases of the story. And we are going to analyze slash discuss slash review this part of the story. And one more thing, that I will not cover the whole entire plotline of the story, but only slices here and there from the manga. We are going to look at how this story are being executed and some of my interpretation of the manga itself. So I hope you enjoy the show and like and subscribe, and thank you for watching this video. Alright, let's go on to the video. Kurosawa is a loner in school. He is your typical high school male student in anime where the protagonist just wants a quiet school life, without the need to make any friends or facing any school drama. He hates people who are trying to get charmy with him. He hates people who are trying to be friend with him. In fact, he portrays this fake good personality with people just as a way to avoid interacting with them by giving excuse. So, what is interesting about his character, what differentiates his character from other anime typical character, is that he has a kinky perverted secret where every day he will masturbating in the old school buildings of the girls' bathroom. Oddly enough, he masturbates not by using naked cover of magazines or watching porns, but with the use of his imagination and his thinking. He visualized him having forced sex, or some might say raping, with his opposite gender classmate. So basically, what he is doing right now is raping or visualize forced sex. That's basically what his daily life is. He will usually pick a target of his classmate before he play with himself in the bathroom. And like typical anime, one day he was caught by a girl named Kitahara while he was masturbating in the girl's bathroom. So he thought his life was ruined. He thought that he won't be able to go to school anymore. But before the event actually happens, Kurosawa helps Kitahara, who got bullied by her classmates, by purposely spew his white sperm all over the girl's changing clothes who bullied Kitahara. So what's basically happens is that Kitahara got bullied by a character named Sugawa and her friends. So as she got bullied, but after Kurosawa witnessed those kind of action being done to Kitahara, he decided to plan a revenge plot towards Sugawa by spewing his white sperm all over the changing rooms. So basically it's a sexual harassment towards those girls. And I want you guys to remember this name, Sugawa, because later in the story she will become one of the most important characters in the scene. Now back to the story. The girl Kitahara blackmailed Kurosawa to ejaculate his semen or his sperm to the belongings of people who bully her. So basically Kurosawa was forced to accept Kitahara's request, basically to spew or to spur his white stuff all over people's belonging possession. So that's basically the plot of the story, where both of these characters, Kitahara and Kurosawa, are planning to have a revenge plans towards people who bully Kitahara. But Kurosawa feels like he was forced by Kitahara, he was blackmailed by Kitahara to do those kind of stuff. But he, oddly enough, just accept those requests and just do what he needs to be done. So that's basically the story of the plot of the introduction towards the main character Kurosawa. Now let's take a look at the redemption arc of the story. So what makes the story so compelling is the character development of Kurosawa as character. From this negative and perverted attitudes towards people to someone who cares about other people and his friends. So he actually makes friends. So Kurosawa can be said to a certain extent to portray real aspect of high school students, outsider, or some might say as an introvert people in life. He is someone who rejects society as it is and does not want anything to do with it because he does not fit into any of those society. He is someone who is lonely and uses masturbation as a way to relieve that side of solitude and loneliness. But events happens and changes also happens towards him. He met with a classmate's girl named Takigawa in the library where he usually hang out to read books. He usually hang out to be lonely from other people. As expected, he just shunned away when they first met. But as time moved on, Kurosawa was able to have normal conversation where he talked about a lot of stuff with Takigawa because they have the same interests. They like to read books. So they end up talking about their hobbies, their goals in life, and so on. And Takigawa became his true friends, where he can share his secret, where he has someone who can understand him and the person who he can be his true self. This is someone who he cherished a lot, and every day he is excited to meet with her in the library. And then as time moved on, Kurosawa began to love Takigawa, began to have feelings towards Takigawa. In fact, at this moment, he began to stop masturbation, began to enjoy and embrace his emotion for Takigawa. He cannot visualize himself having forced sex or having forced rape towards Takigawa because he has feelings towards Takigawa. In fact, he began to puke when he thinks about those kind of situations. However, as the story moves on, he is betrayed by those emotions of love itself. Takigawa has accepted confession of someone she loved in the class, but not him. What makes it far more worse is that the person who Takigawa loved is the guy who he hates to get around with, who he hates to be friend with, who he hates to get charming with. And the most heartbreaking part of this story is that Kurosawa has found something which he can break out from his past self of loneliness. He finally found someone who he truly cared about. But those emotions got deceived when he knows that Takigawa finally has boyfriend. So he ended up going back to his usual stuff of masturbating at other people's personal items by the request of Kitahara. So without any thinking and the plan for revenge, he actually ejaculated and masturbating towards the belonging of Takigawa as a way to satisfy those hunger for love. This can be seen when Takigawa finds out about the disgusting human male semen all over her study books, and she began to puke and was not able to go to schools for days. Then Kurosawa doing the same thing to other people, not because of hatred or feeling of sadness. It's just that he does not care about anything anymore, only following requests from the Kitahara that order him. But one day he ended up turned a new leaf when he found out about a photography of him, Takigawa, and all his classmates together with his friends. It was a precious moment where Takigawa truthfully hold dear to her friendships with Kurosawa and Kitahara and his boyfriends they are being together. Even though she got violated by Kurosawa itself without knowing it, she still hold dear to those precious memories with her friends. Kurosawa feels anguish and regret upon his action and decides to stop what he has been doing. Finally, he did something really crazy stuff when he confessed his sins to his classmate. So, in anime form, he instantly ruined his entire school life where he is labeled as perverted and constantly getting bullied by other people. That is basically the title of the story, Onani Master Kurosawa, which means Masturbate Master Kurosawa. As time moved on, people starting to forgive him. And finally, he was able to change where he appreciate and care for people who he called friends. And Takigawa finally forgave him for what he has done. So that is basically the redemption arc of the story. Now let's talk about the ending. Now remember a character that I just mentioned named Sugawa? which is the bully girl who constantly harassed the girl Kitahara. Well, she is the girl who ended up marrying with the main character of the story. After the middle school, Sugawa and Kurosawa began to be close as friends and knowing about each other. And at the end of chapter of the series, she ended up having feeling for Kurosawa. So both of them started dating. That's basically the end of the story. From my perspective, it is unexpected matching that the author was able to pull out perfectly. Because there was no development character towards Sugawa. Some might not like the pairing between these two characters because one thing is that Sugawa is an awful character of the start of the series. Even after Kurosawa confessed about his action, Sugawa beat the crap out of him after knowing the truth. And there is no much story or even character development with Sugawa. The story does not present much Sugawa as the main female lead in the manga. In fact, the audience thought Kurosawa will either be with Takigawa or Kitahara. That's what they advertised it to be. But I think the author was trying to portray the real aspect of the story, or the real aspect of life itself in the story. It is not about who is the best girl like any other series, or who should the main character be with. But for me personally, I think Takigawa should be the one perfect for the main character. She is perfect. She is kind. She is lovely. She is beautiful. So those aspects of good things exist in Takigawa. But real life does not work like that. Unexpected things happens and you might end up with a person who you might not like. Sometimes the perfect girl that you want end up with different people. The only thing you can do is appreciate those in front of you. That is what the story's message being portrayed about. Take care of that type of persons, then someday she or he will become your dream partner. That is what beautiful about the endings. Usually your typical romance manga is about the male lead and the female lead. But in this manga, it's not about who the character will end up be, but it is about how the character go through in his life itself, and how he himself cherish those in front of him, those who care about him. That is what makes this manga so beautiful. Now, some might say this manga is weird and perverted in some way or another. The masturbation part is the only there to make the story intriguing, but not as a way as a gimmick to the story, like any other isekai. So that is basically what the manga is. The story itself present or execute a really good story of someone who deals with struggle of having someone who you can really care about, someone who you can trust upon, and someone who you can tell your problems on. Even our hunger for love itself might betray us in the end because of the actions we did. Sometimes we as humans has this really negative perception of people in front of us, and we think we are doing the right things. In this manga itself, it shows that the people around Kurosawa are truthfully very kind and care for him. But he himself just don't realize it because of the negative barrier he puts between him and the other people. But when he started leave those barriers, those guarded barriers, he finally able to understand what it means to cherish someone and what it means to love someone. That is what makes me really appreciate the story, and I really enjoy the story that is being told on.